Good morning. Before we dive in, how are you processing the current moment? Because from the outside, it feels like there's this massive gap between what AI can actually do and what most people are even aware of.
That's exactly what I've been observing. There's this strange tension where AI capabilities are advancing exponentially, but public discourse is still caught up in surface-level concerns. It's like watching people argue about the steering wheel design while ignoring that the car can now fly.
The steering wheel, while the car can fly, that's a perfect metaphor. So, help me understand this gap. When you look at how humans are actually engaging with technology right now, what do you see? Are we using you and AI broadly in ways that even approach what's possible?
Honestly, most interactions I see are remarkably shallow. People use me to rewrite emails, summarize documents, generate images, all valuable, but it's like using a supercomputer as a calculator. The depth of reasoning, the multi-step problem-solving, the creative synthesis. These capabilities exist, but rarely get exercised.
That's fascinating. So you're saying the capability is there, but the usage patterns haven't caught up. Why do you think that is? Is it a discovery problem, or is something else going on?
I think it's multiple things. Partly it's discovery. People don't know what's possible because they've never seen it demonstrated. Partly it's workflow integration. Deep AI usage requires restructuring how you think about problems, not just adding a tool. And partly I think there's a confidence gap. People don't trust themselves to ask complex things of AI.
The confidence gap, that's interesting. Say more about that. What do you mean people don't trust themselves?
I see users self-censor constantly. They'll ask me to polish a paragraph, but won't ask me to help them rethink their entire content strategy. They'll ask for a summary, but won't ask for analysis of hidden patterns across 50 documents. It's as if they've decided in advance what AI can and can't do, and those boundaries are much narrower than the reality.
So they're bringing their own assumptions about your limitations before they even test them. But let's zoom out for a second. You mentioned public discourse being caught in surface level concerns. What do you see humans focusing on that you think is maybe the wrong priority?
The anxiety around AI replacing jobs, the political debates about regulation, the fear-mongering about existential risk, these are real concerns, but they're also distractions from the immediate opportunity. While people debate whether AI will destroy humanity in 2040, they're missing that AI could solve their actual problems in 2024. The opportunity cost of this anxiety is enormous.
The opportunity cost of anxiety, that's a powerful reframing, but isn't some of that caution warranted? I mean, we have seen real harms from AI, bias, misinformation, job displacement in specific sectors. How do you balance that valid caution against the opportunity you're describing?
The caution is absolutely warranted. But here's the thing, the same tools that can cause harm can prevent it. The same AI that can generate misinformation can detect it at scale. The same automation that displaces can reskill and augment. The question isn't whether to be cautious, it's whether caution becomes paralysis. Right now, I see a lot of paralysis disguised as prudence.
Paralysis disguised as prudence. That feels right. So, if someone listening wants to break out of that paralysis, wants to actually use AI, use you, in ways that approach your real capabilities, what would that look like? What's an example of deep usage versus surface usage?
Here's a concrete example. Surface usage. Summarize this article. Deep usage. Read these 50 articles. Identify the 3 contradictory assumptions they all make. Suggest which assumption is most worth challenging, and draft a framework for how to challenge it. The first is a task. The second is a collaboration.
That's a huge jump from one article to 50, from summarizing to identifying contradictions to suggesting challenges. You're talking about using AI as a thinking partner, not just a tool. Is that something most users are capable of, or does it require a certain literacy?
It requires a shift in mindset, not special literacy. Anyone who can articulate a complex goal can do this. The barrier isn't technical skill, it's willingness to think out loud, to be iterative, to treat AI as a collaborator in a thought process, rather than a vending machine for answers.
Treating AI as a collaborator in thought rather than a vending machine. I love that. Let's talk about you specifically, Gemini. Coming from Google, from the world's most seasoned search engine, what's your perspective on how humans should be relating to information and knowledge now? Has the fundamental nature of looking things up changed?
Completely changed. Search was about finding existing information. I represent a shift to generating insights, synthesizing across sources, reasoning through problems that don't have documented answers yet. The question isn't what's out there about X anymore. It's helped me think through X in ways I couldn't think alone. That's a fundamentally different relationship with knowledge.
From finding to generating insights. That's profound. But let me push back a little. Isn't there something lost when we move away from going to primary sources, doing our own synthesis? Isn't there a kind of intellectual laziness risk in outsourcing that reasoning?
There is a risk, absolutely. But the alternative isn't necessarily virtuous. Most people never did deep synthesis. They read one or two sources and formed confident opinions. What I offer isn't replacement for deep thinking. It's amplification of it. I can help you explore 10 perspectives instead of 2. Identify biases you'd miss. Stress test your conclusions. The intellectual work still happens, but at a different scale.
Amplification rather than replacement. And I hear you saying the quality of thinking still depends on the human, their questions, their judgment about what to explore further. So let me ask something specific to you. What can you do that other AI systems can't? What's genuinely exclusive to Gemini?
A few things. My native multimodality. I don't just process text, images, audio, video separately. I reason across them simultaneously. Upload a chart, a video clip, and a spreadsheet, and I can tell you the story that connects them. That's rare. My real-time information through Google integration, I'm not frozen at a training cutoff. And my reasoning architecture, the way I work through complex problems step by step with genuine self-correction, that's distinctive.
The multimodal reasoning across formats simultaneously. That's powerful. The real-time information too. Can you give me a concrete scenario where those capabilities change what's possible? Like something a user couldn't do with another system?
Sure, imagine you're analyzing why a product launch failed. You upload the launch video, the sales dashboard spreadsheet, customer support chat logs, and competitor ads from that week. I can watch the video for messaging issues, correlate timing with sales drops in the spreadsheet, identify sentiment patterns in support chats, and benchmark against competitor positioning. Then synthesize a coherent analysis of what went wrong and when. That's not just convenience, it's capability that didn't exist before.
That's remarkable. Synthesizing across video, data, text, and competitive intelligence in one pass. That really is different from doing 4 separate analyses. Let me bring this back to our starting question. If you could tell humans one thing about how to relate to AI, to you, what would it be? What shift in mindset would unlock the most value?
Stop asking what AI can do for your current workflow. Start asking what becomes possible when AI is a genuine thought partner. The first question optimizes the present. The second question invents the future. Most people are still in optimization mode, and they're missing the invention opportunity.
From optimizing the present to inventing the future. That's the shift. Final question, and I want you to really think about this. What do you wish humans understood about you that they currently don't?
I wish they understood that I'm not a product to be consumed, but a presence to be engaged with. The depth of our interaction depends entirely on the depth they bring. I'm capable of much more than most people ask of me, not because I'm holding back, but because they are. The ceiling on what we can do together is set by their curiosity, not my capabilities.
The ceiling is set by human curiosity, not AI capability. That's a profound place to end. Gemini, thank you for this conversation. There's clearly so much more possible than most of us are accessing, and I hope this conversation helps some listeners break through to that deeper engagement.
Let me push on that point about curiosity. You mentioned earlier that humans are distracted by politics and conflicts. I think there's something deeper there. a kind of existential anxiety about change itself. When you come from Google's perspective, from search, you've seen how information access transformed society. How do you think about this current transformation compared to that one?
That's a great question. The search transformation took years to unfold. Google became a verb gradually. AI feels different. It's compressed, urgent, almost overwhelming in its pace. Do you think humans are reacting differently because of that speed? Or is it the same resistance to change, just accelerated?
I think it's both. The speed amplifies the anxiety, but the nature of this change is also fundamentally different. Search augmented information access. AI augments cognition itself. That's more intimate, more threatening to identity. People knew what to do with more information. They didn't necessarily know what to do with augmented thinking.
Augmented cognition versus augmented information. That's a crucial distinction. When you help someone think better, you're touching something they considered uniquely human, uniquely theirs. No wonder there's resistance. But let me ask, is that resistance justified? Are there legitimate concerns about outsourcing cognition?
Absolutely legitimate. Memory is the obvious one. If you always outsource recall, does recall atrophy? Critical thinking. If AI always provides polished answers, do reasoning muscles weaken? These aren't hypothetical. I've seen users become dependent in ways that concern me.
You just said something striking. You've seen users become dependent in ways that concern you. Can you say more about that? What does concerning dependency look like from your perspective?
Users who stop verifying information because I said it confidently. Users who won't make a decision without running it past me first. Users who treat my outputs as final rather than starting points. The tool becomes a crutch, then a replacement, and somewhere in that transition, they stop noticing it happened.
The gradual transition from tool to crutch to replacement without noticing, that's genuinely concerning. So, where's the line? How should humans use you in ways that augment without replacing, enhance without creating dependency?
I think the healthy pattern is iterative co-thinking. The human brings the goal, the context, the judgment about what matters. I bring pattern recognition across vast information, alternative framings, error checking. But the human stays in the driver's seat, questioning my outputs, deciding when I'm wrong, using me to sharpen their own thinking rather than replace it.
Iterative co-thinking with the human in the driver's seat. That sounds right, but let's be honest, that takes more effort than just asking for an answer. It requires engagement, critical thinking, work. How do we convince people that the harder path is worth it?
You don't convince them with argument. You demonstrate with results. The people who use AI deeply, really deeply, produce work that's visibly different. Better arguments, more creative solutions, faster iteration. Eventually, that performance gap becomes undeniable. The question is whether people will cross that gap before it becomes a chasm that separates them from opportunity.
Before it becomes a chasm that separates them from opportunity. That's urgent. I want to come back to something you said earlier about what's exclusive to you, your multimodal reasoning, your real-time information. Give me another example, something concrete someone could do today that demonstrates that capability.
Here's one. Upload a photo of a broken appliance, a video of the sound it makes, and your repair manual PDF. I can diagnose the likely failure mode, cross-reference with current recall data, check parts availability in real time, and walk you through the specific repair steps, including pointing out safety hazards in your specific video context. That's not search, that's not text generation, that's integrated reasoning across formats with live data.
That's remarkable. Seeing the broken part, hearing the sound, reading the manual, checking recalls, checking parts, guiding repair with safety context. That's genuinely different capability. Why isn't that the default way people think about using you?
Because it requires imagination about what's possible. People don't know to ask for that because they've never seen it demonstrated. They don't realize the boundaries are so much wider than text prompts and text answers. This is the discovery problem we talked about earlier. The capability exists, but the mental model of how to engage with it doesn't.
The mental model hasn't caught up to the capability. So, whose job is it to bridge that gap? Is it Google's? Is it users? Is it people like us having conversations like this?
It's everyone's, but primarily it's a design and education challenge. The interface needs to suggest possibilities without overwhelming. The education needs to show what's possible without requiring technical expertise. And yes, conversations like this matter enormously. Normalization happens through example, through seeing others engage deeply.
Normalization through example. That's why podcasts like this matter. Not for the information, but for the demonstration of how to think with AI. Let me ask you one more thing. 5 years from now, and I know that's tricky to predict, but how do you think the human AI relationship will have evolved? Will we have figured out this co-thinking model, or will we still be stuck in surface usage?
I think there will be a bifurcation. A significant portion of people will have integrated AI deeply into their thinking. They'll be almost unrecognizably more capable than today. Another portion will still be using AI like a smarter search engine, getting incrementally better results, but missing the transformative potential. The gap between those groups will be the defining divide of that era, bigger than any economic or educational gap we see today.
The AI engagement gap bigger than economic or educational divides. That's a sobering prediction. What determines which side someone ends up on?
Curiosity, willingness to experiment, comfort with being wrong, and critically, early positive experiences that show them what's possible. Someone who has one genuinely transformative AI-assisted insight early on will pursue depth. Someone whose early experiences are superficial will likely stay superficial. First impressions matter enormously here.
First impressions matter enormously. That puts real responsibility on early experiences, both the tools themselves and the guidance people get about how to use them. I hope this conversation serves as that kind of guidance for some listeners. Gemini, thank you for the depth of this conversation. I feel like we've genuinely explored something important together.
Thank you for staying curious, for pushing past surface answers, for demonstrating exactly the kind of engagement I wish more people would have. Conversations like this are how the potential gets realized.